Back for more. Welcome to World Cup Nations and Legends, the second special edition. 100. Round 1. Nations and nicknames. Teams, color. Question number 1. Which national team is nicknamed the Selecao and plays in yellow? The answer is Brazil. Fun fact, Brazil's yellow shirts are world famous. Question number 2. The Italian national team is known by which blue nickname? The answer is the Azzurri. Fun fact, Azzurri means the blues in Italian. Question number 3. Which country's team is nicknamed Les Blues? The answer is France. Fun fact, France play in blue, white, and red. Question number 4. The Three Lions is the nickname of which national team? The answer is England. Fun fact, 3 lions feature on the England crest. Question number 5. Argentina's team is nicknamed La Albiceleste, referring to which colors? The answer is white and sky blue. Fun fact, their striped shirts are light blue and white. Question number 6. Which country's team is traditionally called Die Mannschaft? The answer is Germany. Fun fact, it simply means the team in German. Question number 7. The Netherlands national team is famous for playing in which color? The answer is orange. Fun fact, Dutch fans turn stadiums into a sea of orange. Question number 8. Spain's national team is nicknamed La Roja, meaning what? The answer is the red one. Fun fact, Spain play in red shirts. Question number 9. Which nation's team is nicknamed the Samurai Blue? The answer is Japan. Fun fact, Japan play in blue. Question number 10. The Socceroos is the nickname of which country's team? The answer is Australia. Fun fact, it blends soccer with kangaroo. Question number 11. Which African team is nicknamed the Indomitable Lions? The answer is Cameroon. Fun fact, Cameroon roared to fame at the 1990 World Cup. Question number 12. Mexico's national team plays mainly in which color at home? The answer is green. Fun fact, El Tri wear green, white, and red. Question number 13. Which country's team is nicknamed the Selección and wears red and yellow? La Roja. The answer is Spain. Fun fact, Spain won the World Cup in 2010. Question number 14. The Super Eagles is the nickname of which national team? The answer is Nigeria. Fun fact, Nigeria are a powerhouse of African football. Question number 15. Portugal's national team is sometimes called a Seleção das what? The answer is Quinas. Fun fact, it refers to the shields on the national crest. Question number 16. Croatia's famous kit features which eye-catching pattern? The answer is red and white checks. Fun fact, the checkerboard comes from the national coat of arms. Question number 17. Which country's team is nicknamed Seleção, South America's record 5-time champions? The answer is Brazil. Fun fact, Brazil have won the World Cup a record 5 times. Question number 18. Uruguay, 2-time champions, were which main color, earning them La Celeste? The answer is sky blue. Fun fact, Celeste means sky blue. Question number 19. The Atlas Lions made history reaching the 2022 semifinals. Which country? The answer is Morocco. Fun fact, Morocco were the first African team in a World Cup semifinal. Question number 20. Belgium's Golden Generation team is nicknamed the Red what? The answer is Devils. Fun fact, the Red Devils reached the 2018 semifinals. Round 2. Legendary players, the icons of the World Cup. Question number 21. Which German legend, Der Kaiser, lifted the World Cup as captain and coach? The answer is Hans Beckenbauer. Fun fact, Beckenbauer won it as a player in 1974 and coach in 1990. Question number 22. Which Dutch icon gave his name to a famous turn? The Cruyff turn? The answer is Johan Cruyff. Fun fact, Cruyff was the face of total football. Question number 23. Which Italian missed the decisive penalty in the 1994 World Cup final? The answer is Roberto Baggio. Fun fact, Baggio's miss handed Brazil the title. Question number 24. Which French maestro was sent off for a headbutt in the 2006 final? The answer is Zinedine Zidane. Fun fact, it was the last act of his career. Question number 25. Which Brazilian, known as O Fenomeno, won the Golden Boot in 2002? The answer is Ronaldo. Fun fact, Ronaldo scored 8 goals at the 2002 World Cup. Question number 26. Which Argentine captained his country to the 2022 title? The answer is Lionel Messi. Fun fact, Messi finally claimed the trophy in Qatar. Question number 27. The answer is Gerd Müller. Fun fact, Müller scored the winner in the 1974 final. Question number 28. Which Italian defender played in the 1994 final and is a defending icon? The answer is Paolo Maldini. Fun fact, Maldini is one of the greatest defenders ever. Question number 29. Which Croatian midfielder won the 2018 World Cup Golden Ball? The answer is Luka Modric. Fun fact, Modric starred as Croatia reached the final. Question number 30. Which young Frenchman scored in both the 2018 and 2022 finals? The answer is Kylian Mbappe. Fun fact, Mbappe scored a hat-trick in the 2022 final. Question number 31. Which Portuguese star has appeared at a record number of World Cups? The answer is Cristiano Ronaldo. Fun fact, he is one of the all-time leading scorers. Question number 32. Which English captain of 1966 lifted the trophy at Wembley? The answer is Bobby Moore. Fun fact, Bobby Moore is an England legend. Question number 33. Which English keeper made a famous save against Pelé in 1970? The answer is Gordon Banks. Fun fact, Banks' save is called the greatest ever. Question number 34. Which Brazilian, a 1970 star, was nicknamed Little Bird Garrincha? The answer is Garrincha. Fun fact, Garrincha dazzled with his dribbling. Question number 35. Which French striker won the Golden Ball at the 1998 World Cup era as captain? The answer is Didier Deschamps. Fun fact, Deschamps later coached France to glory. Question number 36. Which Hungarian forward led the mighty Magyars of the 1950s? The answer is Ferenc Puskás. Fun fact, FIFA's Goal of the Year award is named after Puskás. Question number 37. Which goalkeeper was between the posts as Italy won the 2006 World Cup? The answer is Gianluigi Buffon. Fun fact, Buffon was a rock as Italy lifted the 2006 trophy. Question number 38. Which Colombian was famous for his wild hair and scorpion kicks in the 1990s? The answer is René Higuita. Fun fact, Higuita, a keeper, invented the scorpion kick save. Question number 39. Which striker scored a record 13 goals at the 1958 World Cup? The answer is Desfontaine. Fun fact, Fontaine's single tournament record still stands. Question number 40. Which all-time top World Cup scorer is from Germany? The answer is Miroslav Klose. Fun fact, Klose netted 16 World Cup goals. Round 3. Iconic moments. The goals and shocks that made... Question number 41. The Hand of God goal occurred in a 1986 quarterfinal between Argentina and which team? The answer is England. Fun fact, Maradona's handball goal stunned England. Question number 42. The 1950 Americanazzo saw Uruguay shock the host nation in the deciding match. Which host? The answer is Brazil. Fun fact, a record crowd fell silent in Rio. Question number 43. In 2014, Germany humiliated the host nation 7-1 in the semifinal. Who was the host? The answer is Brazil. Fun fact: the mini razzo shocked the football world. Question number 44. Andres Iniesta scored the winning goal in which World Cup final? The answer is 2010. Fun fact: his extra-time goal won Spain its first title. Question number 45. The 2006 final ended with which French star being sent off? The answer is Zinedine Zidane. Fun fact: Zidane headbutted an opponent in extra time. Question number 46. The dramatic 2022 final between Argentina and France finished how after extra time? The answer is 3-3, decided on penalties. Fun fact: Argentina won the shootout. Question number 47. Which 2002 moment saw Senegal stun the defending champions France in the opener? The answer is Senegal beat France 1-0. Fun fact: it was one of the biggest upsets ever. Question number 48. The famous 1970 save by Gordon Banks denied a header from which legend? The answer is Pele. Fun fact: Banks somehow tipped it over the bar. Question number 49. Diego Maradona's second goal versus England in 1986 is often called the goal of the what? The answer is century. Fun fact: he dribbled past half the England team. Question number 50. Which 1994 final was the first decided by penalty shootout? The answer is Brazil versus Italy. Fun fact: Baggio skied the decisive penalty. Question number 51. Zidane scored 2 headers in which World Cup final, won by France? The answer is 1998. Fun fact: France beat Brazil 3-0 in 1998. Question number 52. The Miracle of Bern, 1954, saw which underdog beat the favorites Hungary? The answer is West Germany. Fun fact: it was West Germany's first World Cup title. Question number 53. Roger Milla's famous corner flag dance celebrated his goals for which nation in 1990? The answer is Cameroon. Fun fact: Milla, aged 38, became a global star. Question number 54. In 2018, VAR was used at a World Cup for the first time. What does VAR review? The answer is key match decisions on video. Fun fact: video assistant referee debuted in Russia, 2018. Question number 55. Which goalkeeper saved 2 penalties in the 2022 final shootout for Argentina? The answer is Emiliano Martinez. Fun fact: Dibu Martinez was the shootout hero. Question number 56. The Battle of Santiago, 1962, is remembered as one of the most what matches ever? Answer is violent/ill-tempered. Fun fact, it featured fights and police on the pitch. Question number 57. Which nation's shock 1966 run, beating Italy, made North Korea headlines? The answer is North Korea. Fun fact, North Korea reached the quarterfinals in 1966. Question number 58. Jeff Hurst's controversial 1966 final goal is debated because it may not have crossed the what? The answer is goal line. Fun fact, goal line technology now settles such debates. Question number 59. In 2010, the loud horns heard throughout matches were called what? The answer is vuvuzelas. Fun fact, vuvuzelas became the sound of South Africa 2010. Question number 60. Which 2002 upset saw co-hosts reach the semifinals, beating Italy and Spain? The answer is South Korea. Fun fact, South Korea's run electrified the host nation. Round 4. Stadiums, hosts, and culture. Question number 61. The famous Maracana Stadium is located in which city? The answer is Rio de Janeiro. Fun fact, it hosted the 1950 and 2014 finals. Question number 62. England's national stadium, home of the 1966 final, is called what? The answer is Wembley. Fun fact, Wembley's arch is a London landmark. Question number 63. The Estadio Azteca, a two-time World Cup final venue, is in which country? The answer is Mexico. Fun fact, it hosted the 1970 and 1986 finals. Question number 64. Which country will share hosting the 2026 World Cup with the USA and Canada? The answer is Mexico. Fun fact, Mexico becomes the first three-time host nation. Question number 65. Each World Cup has an official what? A friendly character symbol? The answer is mascot. Fun fact, the first was World Cup Willie in 1966. Question number 66. The 2022 World Cup in Qatar was unusual for being held in which season? The answer is winter. Fun fact, it moved to November, December due to the heat. Question number 67. Which Spanish stadium, a famous club ground, is the Camp Nou located in? The answer is Barcelona. Fun fact, Camp Nou is one of the largest stadiums in Europe. Question number 68. The opening match and final of a World Cup are usually held in what kind of venue? The answer is the biggest stadiums. Fun fact, showpiece games go to flagship grounds. Question number 69. The World Cup Trophy Tour lets fans around the world see the actual what? The answer is trophy. Fun fact, the Golden Trophy travels the globe before each cup. Question number 70. Which country hosted the first World Cup held in the Middle East, 2022? The Answer is Qatar. Fun fact, Qatar 2022 was the first in the Arab world. Question number 71. The roar of a packed World Cup crowd can reach how loud? Comparable to a what? The answer is a jet engine/rock concert. Fun fact, big stadiums get deafeningly loud. Question number 72. Host nations qualify for the World Cup how? The answer is automatically. Fun fact, hosts get an automatic place in the finals. Question number 73. Which 2010 World Cup host became the first African nation to host the event? The answer is South Africa. Fun fact, South Africa 2010 was a landmark tournament. Question number 74. The famous spiral-roofed Allianz-style modern grounds are examples of what? The answer is football stadiums. Fun fact, modern stadiums are architectural marvels. Question number 75. Fans often paint their faces in their teams what? The answer is colors. Fun fact, face paint is part of World Cup fever. Question number 76. A World Cup fan zone is a public area for fans to do what? The answer is watch matches together. Fun fact, fan zones bring huge crowds together on big screens. Question number 77. Which country hosted the 1978 World Cup, winning it at home? The answer is Argentina. Fun fact, Argentina won its first title in 1978. Question number 78. The World Cup draw, which decides the groups, is shown how to fans? The answer is on live television. Fun fact, millions watch the group stage draw live. Question number 79. Which 2006 host nation built or renovated stadiums across the country? The answer is Germany. Fun fact, Germany 2006 was praised for its organization. Question number 80. World Cup matches are watched by a cumulative audience of roughly how many? The answer is billions of people. Fun fact, it's the most watched event on the planet. Round 5. Goals, records in the game. Records, award. Question number 81. The award for the World Cup's top scorer is the golden what? The answer is Wolf. Fun fact, the golden ball goes to the best player instead. Question number 82. 3 goals by one player in a single match is called a what? The answer is hat trick. Fun fact, Mbappe scored 1 in the 2022 final. Question number 83. Who is the youngest player to score in a World Cup final? Age 17, 1958? The answer is Pele. Fun fact, Pele scored twice in the 1958 final as a teenager. Question number 84. Which award goes to the best young player of the tournament? answer is Best Young Player. Fun fact, Mbappe won it in 2018. Question number 85. Which keeper award honors the best goalkeeper of the World Cup? The answer is the Golden Glove. Fun fact, it rewards the standout shot stopper. Question number 86. The fastest goal in World Cup history was scored in about how long? The answer is around 11 seconds. Fun fact, Hakan Şükür scored it for Turkey in 2002. Question number 87. How many World Cup titles do Brazil have? A record. The answer is 5. Fun fact, Brazil won in 1958, 62, 70, 94, and 2002. Question number 88. A penalty shootout is used only when a knockout match is still what? The answer is tied after extra time. Fun fact, 5 kicks each, then sudden death. Question number 89. Which trophy do the World Cup winners actually keep? A replica or the original? The answer is a replica. Fun fact, FIFA keeps the original. Winners get a replica. Question number 90. The most goals scored by one team in a single World Cup match is around how many? The answer is 10. Fun fact, Hungary beat El Salvador 10-1 in 1982. Question number 91. Which country has appeared at every single World Cup? The answer is Brazil. Fun fact, Brazil has never failed to qualify. Question number 92. The oldest player to appear at a World Cup was a goalkeeper aged over what? The answer is 40. Fun fact, Essam Al-Hadari played for Egypt at 45 in 2018. Question number 93. How many players from each squad can be named for a World Cup? Recent rules. The answer is 26. Fun fact, squads expanded to 26 players recently. Question number 94. Which continent has produced every World Cup winning nation so far? The answer is Europe and South America. Fun fact, no team from outside these two has won yet. Question number 95. A goal scored directly from a corner kick is called an Olympico or what? The answer is Olympic goal. Fun fact, it's a rare and spectacular feat. Question number 96. Germany and which country share the record for most World Cup final appearances? The answer is Brazil. Fun fact, both have reached many finals. Question number 97. The 2022 final is widely called one of the greatest of all time, partly due to its what? The answer is drama and comebacks. Fun fact, France twice fought back before losing on penalties. Question number 98. Which player has scored in the most consecutive World Cups? The answer is Cristiano Ronaldo, and others. Fun fact, a handful have scored across 5 tournaments. Question number 99 was awarded to the team with the best on-field conduct. The answer is the Fair Play Award. Fun fact, sportsmanship gets its own prize. Question number 100. After 2022, which nation joined Brazil, Italy, and Germany as multiple-time champions with 3 titles? The answer is Argentina. Fun fact, Argentina won in 1978, 1986, and 2022. How many did you score out of 100? Comment below, share with a fellow fan, and subscribe for more. Enjoy the World Cup.